Hello and welcome to the Birchal Podcast. My name is Emily. I'm your host, and today I'm joined by Alex Cannizzaro, who is the founder of Platform Zero, which is a company that is revolutionising the way we tackle food waste and look at food from a sustainable and economical perspective. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Thanks so much.
You nailed that.
I tried my best. I mean, it's hard work, but someone's got to do it.
Well done.
Can you give me a bit of an overview about why Platform Zero exists and the problem that it's looking to solve?
Yeah, well, my family, I'm the third generation of a family being in the fruit and veg industry for the last 70 years. And I pretty much saw the sheer produce that was going to waste every single week. That wasn't a couple of boxes here and there. That's reportedly around 70,000 tonne per product that goes to waste per week. Wow. And that's A-grade produce. So I was like, hold on a second. Instead of it going to waste and creating this, significant environmental impact, how about we sell that to businesses for quarter to half the price? And while we're diverting it from landfill into new opportunities to businesses, they're making a sustainable impact. So we're turning them green at the same time. So it was a no-brainer. I didn't want to be a traditional, wholesaler and going that way, taking over the family business, as didn't really interest me. But the sustainable impact really interested me.
So what was the business that your family was in previously?
So my family, they're still in the fruit and veg industry. So they supply like the major supermarkets, to your local cafes and restaurants, to every fruit and veg retailer in Australia, and they export overseas as well to other supermarkets. So they're still in that game. And so I didn't really want to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and like 3 o'clock in the morning to do that. So I'm also digitizing the industry.
Okay.
The industry is done by pen and paper. So therefore, there's no data recorded. So at Platform Zero, we're generating untapped data from the farm all the way to the plate.
Right. So it's 2024. Why is it still back in the Stone Age? Why are they still using pen and paper?
It's old school. I can say this because I am one. It's all the wogs.
Love it.
And they don't care, and it's just easier to, it's hard to change stuff when it's been doing it for so long. But, digitizing the industry, data is key. Every industry is, is digitized, and that data will help tackle food waste and to actually understand what's being grown in the industry, what's been brought, what's been rejected, and what's been sold, the materials and measurements that actually gets put into each product. So when that product goes to waste, we can actually understand how much water's gone to waste, CO2 emissions, and kilograms that have been diverted from landfill. So yeah.
Do you find that it's hard to get through to farmers who are stuck in their old ways and are not really willing to adopt these new philosophies?
Other people that have tried that aren't in the industry have found it extremely difficult. But because my family have this reputation, our family background, that has been earned and trusted over so many decades, farmers are just, jumping on us. They understand, they don't really understand climate change, but they understand that the weather's changing due to climate change.
Right.
Therefore, their crops are getting destroyed. And crops being destroyed equals money loss, which they don't like. So if we can help and we're not charging them a cent, they're like, go for it.
So what's your business model? How do you earn revenue?
Yeah. So we utilise the untapped, the A-grade produce that is less than 24 hours old that is going to go to landfill. So we sell that to businesses. So it can be from the hospitality businesses, food manufacturers, food retailers, anyone that's purchasing fruit and veg, we sell that to them for quarter to half the price.
Wow. And so obviously your family, it's very helpful that you've got this reputation in the industry. Are those the contacts that you went to directly originally to kind of get the business off the ground?
Yeah. At the end of the day, wholesalers, so farmers move their stock to the wholesalers, and the wholesalers are nationwide, so there's a wholesaler market in every state of the country. and they're the ones that distribute the stock out to all the businesses. And wholesalers, each individual wholesaler, they might only have, 50 contacts in their mobile phone. I'm getting all these businesses on board because they want to, they've got ESG targets that they want to hit.
Right.
All these businesses, they want to, they're getting the same product, but they're saving money. And they're getting the sustainability report at the same time for no extra cost. So we've got this demand of buyers now, and we're just handing them over to the wholesalers. And that's all they want. And they're utilising their excess stock. So we're putting more businesses in the hands of these wholesalers, which it increases their revenue as well.
In terms of traction to date, do you have an idea of how much waste you've saved from landfill?
How much? So, for example, in Australia, there's we could fill to the brim 97 mcg worth of A-grade produce. To date, in the last 12 months, we have saved 1 mcg worth of produce. So we've reduced that number.
That's amazing.
To 96. Yeah.
That's
huge. And that's just been tackling. I have been doing Platform Zero for the last 4 years, but we only went to the market not even 12 months ago.
Okay.
And that's the impact that we have made so far.
So this is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Where do you see this going?
We want to be in the hands of every single business and every single wholesaler because we just want to move the produce. By moving the produce, we're generating this untapped data. That can actually give us true insights of the wholesaler industry and the farming industry and to the demand out there. And that can actually help us tackle and end food waste.
So obviously you're taking a percentage of the sale that goes out to a business when they buy it from a wholesaler.
Yep.
Do you see that changing in terms of your business and revenue model as you go forward as well?
No, we just act like any business that purchases good from a wholesaler and sells it onto a business. And moving forward, the ones that we don't, we're just acting as a platform. We just take a small percentage because that small percentage is deconstructing the data, the environmental impact to the business.
Okay.
So when a business purchases from us, we just say they purchase 10 bags of potatoes, tomatoes, onions, etc. We'll give that business the full sustainability report so they can see exactly, like I said before, the CO2 emissions, the water, and the kilos diverted. And that's why a lot of corporate businesses are jumping on us as well because if they refer us to any of their businesses that underneath them, that corporate business will receive the sustainability reporting.
Right. So when you think about your business and the industry that you operate in, would you consider yourself a tech business or a sustainability business or a food and beverage business?
It is tough because we are tech, because we are digitizing and accumulating this data, but then we're also, we don't touch the product. We have no product risk, logistic risk, or payment risk.
Okay.
So we just act as a middleman, pulling the stock from the industry and moving it off to the businesses. So it is quite hard. We're in the food and beverage. We're in the tech. And we're just trying to get the job done.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I don't actually know what category.
So when you were growing the business, what were the biggest blockers that you found when trying to scale?
The biggest blockers, to be honest, we wasted a few years. We wasted 3 years with the major supermarkets as they actually came to us because they heard, because our family's in the industry and, everyone talking, they heard that we're tackling a sustainable issue. That
I remember this.
Yeah, and no one's done before.
Yeah.
But, so that was a few years wasted. But we since then, we've parted those ways and we want to go in another direction, which has been fantastic because at the end of the day, major supermarket, there's 2 of them and there's, over 600,000 businesses that need food. So there's no, at the moment, the biggest barrier that we've got at the moment is that we can't keep up with the demand.
Right.
So I'm still bootstrapping, have no investment. We're going this way. We have, in the last 4 weeks, have gotten a lot of investment opportunities, which we're deciding should we go or should we not. So yeah, it's growing the team so we can keep up with the demand.
I hate to bring up this statistic, but it is true that female founders tend to struggle a lot more getting funding. Have you found that that's been a particular issue?
Yeah, so previously in my life, I've had 15 retail shops and a wholesaling business and a nightclub. So I've done it all. And I had that for over 7 years. And having a small business there was no barrier being a female in that.
Okay.
My outgoings per month were nearly $1 million with all those retail shops, wages, et cetera, et cetera. Having a tech startup, there's so many barriers. Like I feel it, every time I mention my past and what have I achieved, I get all the questions in return about, risk. Why did you leave that? I said, well, I was accumulating all these industry information so I can progress to, with an impactful career. That's what I wanted, Yeah, so there's a lot of barriers. And I actually, to be honest, and I understand why, female investors are actually harder than male investors. And I can understand because they've had to prove themselves in a male-dominant world. So, it's obviously, it's not their fault because they've had to work really hard. But at the end of the day, it's not a barrier for me because I just focus on what I need to do, and that is getting businesses on board so we can move the stock, so we can generate data and achieve our mission, and that's diverting produce from waste.
It's interesting what you say about trying to get capital from female investors and particularly women at the top, because traditionally there haven't been a lot of positions for women at the top, and therefore it's looked at differently from a female perspective. I remember when I read Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, and she mentioned how because there's traditionally been so few positions for women, when they do get there, they're very protective of it. And they say, I've had to work really, really hard to get here. And if I help somebody else, then my position might be either diluted or not available anymore. Yeah. So it's a really tricky one to come at. And being a female founder, you probably look at the space, the entrepreneurial space, and say, I've had to work extra hard to get here because of this, because you do see a lot of barriers to entry. Yeah. And I totally get where you're coming from. It's a story we hear over and over again. Yeah. In terms of funding, what avenues are you looking down to potentially scale?
And I totally agree. And going back to the female investors, every time I know they're being harsh, I understand why they're being hard, because I've understood what they had to do to get to that position. Yeah. And it's sad. So therefore I don't have any hate or whatever. I just understand that situation. But if we went down the investment route, we would definitely look at high net worths or people that have been in the industry, so they actually know what it takes. That when you're dealing with the fresh produce industry, it's an industry that is very hard to get into, and it's all about trust and loyalty. So you can't grow extremely fast and forget about the quality and the relationships, because you'll get nowhere in the industry. Yeah. So it's about moving at a pace that you're moving fast with pace, but you're also keeping up that quality and those relationships up. Because if you don't keep that relationship, the loyalty and trust and the quality of customer service and transparency, you'll lose their trust, and it will go rapid fire in the industry, and you'll just die.
Absolutely.
So Yeah, it's we've obviously been thrown a lot of VC at us, and we've decided not to go because of that reason. I mean, like, I want to go fast, like, naturally, but I understand the industry, and you have to keep those relationships, earn their trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you need to be growing at a sustainable pace.
Correct.
That you know that any direction you go in, you can recover from any mistakes that are made.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a really great strategy to go down.
Yeah, it's not B2C, it's B2B, and these are, businesses that have been, family businesses that have been in the industry for like 3-4 generations. So, yeah.
So you're third generation in your family in this kind of industry. What have you learnt from your family in the do's and don'ts of business?
What I've learned is all about trust and loyalty and transparency. And that takes not one conversation to earn, it takes like months to earn. And it can be gone like that if if you be sneaky, or if you're not transparent, or you're trying to get ahead of the game and going behind someone's back. It doesn't work like that. And I'm grateful that, I saw that from my father, how, he became the biggest Australian exporter by, for years he didn't really earn money from his customers, but he built those relationships up from, the largest supermarket holder in France and like Abu Dhabi and Spain, because he built those relationships, and then they earned his trust, and then he took over the, every supermarket that they had. So yeah, that's what I've learnt.
From a positive sense, what have you learnt from a negative sense, what not to do?
What not to do is, just be honest. What not to do, I don't know. There's not following their footsteps of like being so old school, because you can't really scale.
Absolutely.
You can scale within, nationwide, but, what I want to do is make this impact globally. And if you're waking up 2:00 in the morning to go to the wholesale market, you can't, you can't really scale. What else?
I wonder if it's about what you've mentioned, that staying in your old ways isn't really, it doesn't promote growth and opportunities for you. You've got to be agile, flexible, moving with the markets, constantly learning yourself as a founder so that you can keep up with demand and change and stay ahead of your competition.
Yeah, correct. And also, like, they're so old school, like and everyone in that industry have built themselves up so big that they've done it from the ground up with no investment. And so when you, I've got family and friends, and they're very wealthy. Like, they've got the biggest logistic company in Australia, biggest waste company in Australia, biggest wholesaler or farmer. But there's no handouts because they've had to do it themselves. Or you talk about investment, they wouldn't even know. They wouldn't even know, like, that's just a foreign world. So they're like, they pretty much, they're like, well, we did it the hard way. You got to do it the hard way.
So you feel like you're getting judged a bit?
Yeah. But I am. But also, it's a great lesson. At the end of the day, it makes you learn how to fight and survive and to move forward when you're not making money. So it's good. Yeah.
Has there been a time when you started the business that you thought, this is too hard, I can't keep doing this, why did I bother doing this at all? I just want to go get a manager and a nice cushy job and call it a day.
Yeah. I tried that. I tried getting a job, and it's just not in me to work for someone else, unfortunately, which is really annoying because it was the easy life. But no, I've actually never had that day, because what I'm doing right now I'm passionate about, and it's something that I want to do in my life. So every day I wake up, I want to do it. It's like, I used to be, as you know, a professional tennis player, and, for a whole year you wouldn't win a match. But every day I would wake up and work harder, because you knew you were doing it because you were passionate, and it was like something that fulfills you. And every day, if something's not working, within Platform Zero, I sit back, go for walks and be like, okay, if this direction's not working, maybe I need to go in another direction. So I definitely, I don't keep going down direction and, this isn't working, that isn't working, because obviously that's not meant to be.
Right.
So I'm very conscious about that.
I think you can draw a lot of comparisons from playing tennis and being a founder at the end of the day, because it can be quite isolating in both senses.
Yeah.
And whilst you've got a team around you who are there to support you, give you advice, they're not playing the game.
No.
You're playing the match yourself, and the success of that game ultimately is in your hands.
Correct, yeah.
Does that scare you?
Nah, because I've done it my whole life. What scares me is having a team. So I've got a team now, and like I had a few people underneath me that were reliant on me.
Right.
And I wasn't really coping with that. Like I was like a manager. And I found that extremely hard, that I had to manage other people.
Okay.
And that stressed me out, because it took me away from what I needed to achieve.
Okay.
And I'm, tennis player, very solo, independent. So now I've got people around me where they understand that, and they know their position, they own their position. And we, I'm very open if they want to have a coffee, chat about stuff, let's do it. But when it's like locked in every week for, a session here to talk and a session there, like, I'm like, you work it out. I need to do what I need to do, But yeah, that's actually the biggest hurdle in my being in a startup.
It's finding the right team.
Finding the right team, which I have now. It took me a while. But also them just quickly realising that I'm an individual player.
Yeah.
And I'm not,
I think that's a really fair point.
Yeah.
I can't imagine going to Birchal CEO Matt Vitale and saying, hey, can you teach me how to do this? You'd be like, no, I can't teach you. I don't have enough time. Work it out.
Yeah.
And that's totally fair enough. At the end of the day, you've got a whole set of responsibilities that you need to take care of. Therefore, the value of your team is huge. And I think growing that can be the hardest part for a lot of founders, and also learning how to trust them, because this is your baby at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you go about giving the reins to somebody else to do important elements of the job?
I don't know. You get a sense of like people's energy, and like straight away if they've got that fight mentality, because in a startup you need that fight mentality.
100%.
It's not like working in a corporate job. But I'm with everyone that works with me. I don't say you have to come work 9 to 5. You're not there. You're there to do your job. You can do it in 1 hour, or you can do it in 100 hours. Like, I don't mind. You can do it at home. You can do it at the office. You can do it in the park. I don't care. Like, and giving them that flexibility, and also me being transparent with them with everything. I think that earns the trust, and that respect.
Yeah.
And they understand everything that I'm going through to build this company up, personally, business-wise. So when you're on that same level, and then they're, what you mirror each other.
Right.
And I think that earns respect, and then therefore they want to do the right thing by you. And that's worked well with what I've currently got. And they specialise in their industries. And it's just coming in a lot. The work's coming in a lot.
That's good.
Yeah.
In terms of that feedback loop, that obviously you've said that transparency with your team is really important. Do you find it hard to have those difficult chats, those conversations where you have to give tough feedback, and do they ever give you feedback in return?
Yeah. It is extremely tough. Sometimes I lose sleep over it, or sometimes I have that conversation, and I feel really shit about it, and I have to go home, suck my energy out. But I think it's all about, to move forward in life, you have to have conversations. And like I say to them, tell me what I need to do better, or what support you need from me. And we just have that transparency. So therefore, with this, new team, we don't really need those hard conversations, because we're constantly having them we work well. We're a team. Like, I'm not their boss. Well, technically I am, but like I'm a team player as well. Well, I don't want to be a team player, but you gotta like, we're equal. Everyone's equal. Because, that's how you grow together.
Yeah, there's no hierarchy. No one's having to go through somebody to talk to you.
No. I hate that. No.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this isn't your first business. No. And I imagine having teams in the past, particularly in a hospitality venue, would have been really interesting.
Yeah.
What did you learn from those businesses that you now apply to your business today?
Never have a hospitality business ever again.
Oh, yeah. I think you need to be a certain type of crazy to want to start one, but each their own.
I mean, I started a hospitality business because I needed money to survive on the tennis tour. You know how tough it is,
100%.
It's minimum, traveling 10 months of the year. I didn't want my parents to support me anymore, so I opened up one shop, but that instantly went successful, and then I expanded, and then all of a sudden got 15 shops and et cetera, et cetera. But what I learned from the hospitality, and it was in juices and coconuts, and then I had a florist as well. But I learnt in that is that obviously, one, you had to sell the product real quick. Mm-hmm. So all about marketing, because if the product couldn't stay there because it's fresh produce and it'll go off. And managing the people was actually really hard because, in a hospitality, they're all casuals,
Yeah, right.
And therefore they're all working they're at university, it's all part-time jobs. So when it was like nice weather in December, like half your staff isn't rocking up because they're at the beach. So but I'm still paying incredible amount of rent. It was really hard to manage, and that's where bless you.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Trying to push the mic away. I've got really bad allergies.
Oh, hay fever's the worst at the moment.
So bad. Sorry, keep going.
So therefore I was doing back-to-back shifts. And the reason why I started the hospitality business, my first shop, Fruit Bar, is because, one, I needed money, but two, I was injured with a spinal injury. So I'm doing 16-hour days with this spinal injury.
On your feet?
On my feet. So I was...
What a treat.
Yeah, I was struggling. And then after 7 years, I'm like, I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's destroying my body. So that's when I started to jack epidurals in my spine and went back on the tennis court tour.
Ooh, even more of a treat.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So what made you decide tennis was over?
Yeah.
I'm going business, baby.
Yeah. Well, I've always seen the issue in the produce industry about the waste, but I always knew it was a mammoth of an issue. There's other people out there that are tackling it, but they're kind of band-aiding, taking bits and pieces to tackle the issue.
Sure.
But I knew to tackle it properly, you had to tackle it from the core to actually, and that's what we're doing at the moment with Platform Zero. But to do that, I couldn't be running shops. I couldn't be on the tennis tour. So when COVID hit, I was still on tour, and COVID hit, and obviously I couldn't travel anymore overseas. So that's when I knew this is the perfect opportunity to start Platform Zero, because I had all the time in the world, and I knew, I was 28 at the time when COVID hit. I knew I wasn't getting back on the tour anytime soon. So I was like, I think this is the time to start something that I've always wanted to start, because it's got that impact. And I promised myself I never want to do something for the sake of just earning money. It has to be something that I'm passionate about and that is creating an impact. Yeah.
So you don't come from a tech background. How did you actually get a platform that worked? I mean, tech isn't cheap.
No, I built it out myself.
Excuse me?
Yeah. I and that's where I was I had the concept. I was moving stock, but then investors say, well, where's the tech? I'm like, well, it costs a lot for tech. So I was getting all this feedback. So I was like, stuff it. I'm going to build it out myself. So that was a 9-month process. And I built it out myself. So that's the MVP, which is the best move I ever made.
Wow.
Because, I also had an office and a co-working space, the Commons, which was great. But I was surrounded by a lot of other tech companies, and a lot of men getting a lot of money up front without any tech product.
Must be nice.
Yeah, must be nice. But they had a lot of issues. They got money straight up for tech. They build out the tech, and then if a customer, if it wasn't working, it took them to fix it. It took like 3 days or 7 days to fix the tech product. Because they didn't build it out. They had a tech company that built it out. Okay. So they had to go back to the team to be like, hey, this is wrong with the tech. Can you fix it? So it took a while. So the customer service wasn't, great. And when you're a new business, it's that you're earning that trust from that customer. So you have to be on it. Mm-hmm. So with my solution, if something goes wrong straight away, I fix it instantly. I get that message like there's something wrong or whatever with the customer, and I fix it instantly. So that was it was a great lesson to not take on any investment first, because and I've scoped the MVP to exactly what the customer needs as well. So it's worked really well, and we've got some of the largest Australian hospitality groups purchasing from us daily, and food manufacturers that are in the shelves on Coles and Woolies. And they're still on my MVP.
Right.
Yeah.
So how important is R&D to actually sculpting this platform and making it what it needs to be for your client base?
It is very important because we are collecting also information from the farms. So we actually have true insights of when what the farmer's putting into, water, soil, sprays, etc., etc. It is very important, but we're doing everything manually at the moment. It's a lot of work, but it's working at the moment. So it's great because we're learning from the ground up with the tech now.
Right.
So in the industry, in the fruit and veg industry, you had that's 70 years learning from the ground up. And now we're learning from the ground up with the technology and what it takes to build a solution to service each individual customer. So we've got food manufacturing companies like dips, chips, and etc. And we've got the hospitality, we've got army, we've got all these different customers. So we're building a solution to service all. We're not just have one specific customer.
So you're raising funds at the moment. Is it to build out the tech more? Are you looking at AI integrations to make it a little bit easier to kind of run the tech aspect of it? What are you raising funds for at the moment?
We're raising funds for the technology because we've got a lot of partnerships that hasn't been done before in the industry, and just to make it more automated and quick, not so manual behind closed doors. So we're getting drowned in all the everything behind closed doors, and just a team to support our customer base that we're forever growing. So, like I said, it's about those relationships, so supporting that quality.
How much are you looking to raise at this time?
Yeah, at the moment it's only 800K.
Oh,
only.
Pennies.
But which is, it's not that much, but because we're turning profitable quite soon.
But from a sustainability perspective in terms of growth, I think starting small is often a good idea. I think people try to shoot the lights out and spend money in ways that aren't particularly sustainable. It's really interesting what you're saying about the tech component because a lot of founders I speak to, they say, I don't have enough money to build out the tech, and they pour money into it because it can be so expensive, rather than looking at, hey, how can I learn how to approach this myself so that I can be lean and grow this in a sustainable way?
Correct. Yeah, 100%. And that's where we've built out the MVP to be lean and to service our customers, and then we grow to the growth. We grow to the growth with our team, plus with the tech at the same time. I don't want to have this flash tech, but then I can't produce the quality and the service to the customers, because what's the use?
Right.
At the end of the day, the customers, all they care about is getting their stock, getting a good price, and being there on time. They don't really care about the tech, but the tech for us is about transforming the industry and making it automated for, we got a lot of other things that we have in our a competitive difference in our business is that we have the industry longest payment terms, which is 55 days. And we can pay our suppliers and our farmers within 48 hours. Wow. So, which is kind of acting like a fintech as well. And it helps a lot with, it's fantastic because it's helping cash flow with our customers and it's helping cash flows for our farmers. So yeah, and the quicker we pay the farmers, they're dropping their prices down even more so we can start,
From a small business and early stage startup perspective, you're managing everybody else's cash flow. How do you manage your own?
Well, we don't have that because we're so lean.
You don't have a lot of outgoings.
We don't have any outgoings, and I've learnt all that from having previous businesses. Lean. I pay for what I can afford. And we pay our suppliers as soon as we got the money in, and then as soon as the money comes, we take what we need to take, and then we pay our suppliers. Right. And we grow from there. Like, I don't need to have, all these officers, all this team, and that's, you don't want to have a business that isn't profitable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in debt. So,
and that's a scary place to be in.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want to be in that place. And I've been in that place before with my other businesses. And that's why it's taken so long. Like, people have said, how's this taking you so long to get to this point? I'm like, because I'm moving in a way that I take on no payment risks. I have no logistic list, and I don't see the product. And to get to that point, it's taken me a while to set up all the right partnerships and the foundations, so therefore I can scale. I can scale. And we've got customers in Queensland, Sydney, Adelaide, here in Melbourne, and that's in the space of like 6 months,
I think it's really clear how much you've learnt as a business founder from having these previous businesses, from being a professional sports player. All of these experiences have moulded you into the founder that you are today. What's the best advice you could give to somebody who wants to start their own business?
Forget the noise. If you've thought of this idea, you've thought of it for a reason, and if you have this urgency to do it, you just do it. And if you think it's going to cost $100,000 to start up, well, just deconstruct it. Every business that I had in the retail space, I started off $2,000. And then I grew from there. I didn't need the big fridges in my shop, because having big fridges and in the front of the shop meant that you had to fill that up daily. Therefore, that's more outgoings. Okay. So you start small and then you grow. And yeah, just forget the noise. If people are saying, "Oh, why are you doing that?" Well, at least you're doing it and they're not. And there's always going to be fear, but at the end of the day, if you fail, like, you're not failing. You've gotten up, you've tried it, and the right thing will come in the right direction for you to keep moving forward, and just listen to your gut.
100%. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it, and I feel people will take so much inspiration from your journey as a founder. So I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Em.
With raising capital. I know that you've got a really great future ahead.
Thank you, Em. Appreciate it. Thank you.